Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday. Oh, hold on a second. Let me fix. Hiya, Dustin. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran, and I do this rant every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m.-ish. Every day I just sign on here, and what I do is I go through all the day's news, the headlines, the hot topics, the trends, whatever it is that people are talking about. I put it all together, and I give it to you in a 2-hour stream of consciousness burst. That's right. It's a stream of consciousness. What's that? That's just me talking. That's just me talking. No interruptions, no breaks, no songs, no commercials, no nothing. Coughs. I'll cough from time to time, but essentially, it's just me looking at the news, saying what I think off the top of my head, and then whatever comes next is just going to pour out. As I say, we do this for about 2 hours every day. We execute the show in 4 quarters, like a football game. The first quarter antecedently on this day. It's this day in history. I don't need to. It's just a fancy name for this day in history. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. I don't have to explain that. It's birthdays. These people are having a birthday. Are they cool? That's the question we ask. Quarter 3 is deads. Man, who else? Who's with me in the allergy crowd, man? It's just, and I know you're out there because I'm running into you everywhere. Every place I go, somebody is like coughing and then they're like, oh, excuse me. And they're like, it's my allergies. And I'm like, I know. Thank you. I mean, it's good to know that it's not just me who's dying, that we're all collectively dying together, one slow burst at a time. Quarter 3 is the deads. These are the people who have died. These are the people who have already done that whole thing. And what we do is we like to look at these people who died on this day, and we decide they go to heaven or hell. Where'd they go? We sit in judgment. I like that. And then we get to quarter 4. Quarter 4 is where the rubber hits the road. Meat and potatoes. It's where we talk about all the hot topic current events and all of that other good stuff. We've got Joel. Hiya, Joel. Hiya, Jen. Jameson is here. Chuckles hanging out. April. James. Excuse me. Coughing. This is horrible. Anybody else? Anybody else having the allergies? And it's been really bad the last 2 weeks. But we fight through it because we are human beings. Let's see. Do I have any news for you today? Do I have any, before we get into the rant proper, do I have any news for you? Let's see here. Okay. So the dog on the roof from yesterday. Yesterday I was walking the dog early in the morning, and we were accosted by another dog who had somehow made it through a window in the house, climbed all over the roof of said house, and then jumped to the roof of the garage where the dog seemed to have been stranded on an island there. We were walking down an alley. I was giving my dog a treat. She likes the alleys. They smell worse, which is, I guess, better for her. And this dog was on a roof of a garage, just like screaming at us. And it was very scary. And my dog wanted to kill it. And that dog wanted to kill my dog. And it became one of those things. And I'm in an alley. And I thought for a brief second, is this how I die? But it ended peacefully. We went out again yesterday afternoon just to see if that dog has, because here's what I was thinking. I was thinking that dog's owners went to work at like 7:00 in the morning. Who knows? Because it was 7:45. Excuse me. Hiccups. Here come the hiccups now. And maybe the dog got through the window like at 7:30 or whatever. And now I'm running into him here at 7:45. Hiccups. For real. These are allergy caused hiccups. Because I'm trying to do too much. And I've got this slow drip that is just dropping down, like a sinus drip that is just dropping down in the back of my throat. And it's forcing me to have to do that but we will continue. I'll get it under control. I promise. What was I talking about? The dog. So I thought, yesterday after the show, I took our, CeeLo out for a walk. That's my dog. Took CeeLo out for a walk to see if the dog was still on the roof. And she wasn't, so that was good. And then this morning again at 7:45, I went the exact same route. We also went down the alley. I wanted to see, is this going to be a thing now? Like, does this dog just get out on the roof at this time? And he wasn't there. So I think our dog on the roof problem has been solved. And now I'm sincerely asking for your prayers to help me get over this hiccup battle. Two sets of hiccups this week. I don't know what's happening. For those long time viewers of the rant, you know that I battle hiccups. But you also know that it's been a good 2 months since I've had any hiccup problems. And now this week I've had it twice. I don't like it. They'll go away. Water. Yeah, Jay, now we know why they think it's a weed show. Exactly. High noon. I've been calling it the rant recently. It comes on at high noon. But I've been slow, slow rolling the whole change of brand to just the rant. Because of that. Because people are like, what is that? A stoner show? I'm like, no. I mean, no judgment, but no, it's not a stoner show. I'm not doing like, all right, we're going to unbox the latest edibles. We're not doing that. So I think it's a little misleading. Here's something we need to mention. That's right. This show, as you can see right there, this show runs on your gratuities and your tips. We appreciate you. You've kept us alive every year. 3 years now. 3 years we've been doing it this way. So thank you so much. Every day we like to award an executive producer, and we've got one. That's right. Our executive producer of today's show, the person who tipped the most yesterday. Want to be tomorrow's exec producer? Tip the most today. That's how Leslie C. got her producer stripes for the day. Although she's always producer. She's like her. It's like between her. I'm not going to say any names. But she is a frequent executive producer to the show, and we always have great shows whenever it's a Leslie C. production. So thank you, Leslie. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, you can drop a little something. There you go. We'd appreciate it. All right, let's get started. Hiccups are gone. Look at that. See? It's the magic of Leslie C. right there. That's what she did. Cough still there. That's okay. We'll get through it. It is the High Noon Rant for the 15th day of May, year of our Lord, 2024. Did you know that the 15th day of May is also the 136th day of this year? Yep, 136 days down, 230 remain until New Year's Eve. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's get started with quarter one. We call this Antecedently on this day. I cherry pick some events that have occurred on this day in history. And, I don't know. What do we do here? We look for rhythms. We're looking for things that maybe occurred in the past multiple times. Something happened in 1814 that also happened in 1928 that also happened in 1965. And we're looking for rhythms and patterns. Why? Because we're a gambling nation and we're looking for any sort of better's edge on what to expect in the hours to come. So let's get started. Antecedently on this day in 1905, the city of, speaking of a gambler's nation, Las Vegas is born. Viva Las Vegas. Here's a pretty interesting thing about me. I love Las Vegas. Love it. Would love to live there. Would love to just be there all the time. I haven't been there in a while either. This is like a long time since I've been to Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas. Now, why is that interesting? Because there's probably a lot of people who say that. Here's why. I don't gamble. It's not a gambling thing for me. It's just not. I don't gamble. I don't like to gamble. First of all, I don't have money to gamble. But even when I did have money, I didn't gamble. I didn't like to gamble. I was like, that's luck. Luck doesn't seem like a smart way for me to blow my money. Broads, drugs, and parties. That's how you do it. Gambling? Really? Gambling isn't how you blow your money. That's no way to live like a rock star. So I'm not a gambler, but I love Vegas. I just love the energy of it. I love everything about it. I love the history of it. Casino, one of my favorite films. On this day, antecedently in 1905, Las Vegas is founded. There you go. On this day in 1940, Richard and Maurice Douglas. Here's another one. What's more American than Las Vegas? Well, McDonald's. Very first McDonald's restaurant opens. Not the real McDonald's, like the one. There was like one that two brothers named McDonald's. They opened and they did some really cool innovations. And then a milkshake salesman named Ray Kroc came by trying to sell them milkshake equipment. And he noticed that they were doing some different things. And so he left the milkshake company and then got into business with them. And then in no time flat, he had bought them out. And suddenly McDonald's was McDonald's. So much so that the official McDonald's history doesn't even recognize this restaurant that was opened by Richard and Maurice McDonald as the first McDonald's restaurant. Actual McDonald's history. You can go to the McDonald's Museum there in Oak Brook, Illinois. It will tell you that the very first McDonald's, which is actually the first corporate store, was in Des Plaines, Illinois. McDonald's. Dick and Mo McDonald opened up the first restaurant today. On this day, antecedently in 1963, we doff our cap to another great American hero, Project Mercury. That's right, Project Mercury. The Right Stuff. Another one of my 5 favorite films. If you're keeping track, at this point, I've got about 25 of my 5 favorite films. On this day in 1963, Project Mercury, the launch of the final Mercury mission, Mercury's Atlas 9 with astronaut, goddamn you, Gordon Cooper. Gordo Cooper, one of the coolest astronauts. All the cool stuff, like there's like a lot of those astronauts were actually, if we're being honest, a lot of the dudes who so-called had the right stuff, they were all not dorks. Let's call them dorks and kind of misfits. And there was a few exceptions, like you John Glenn. You had your John Glenn. He was a very serious dude. But when the myth of the astronaut became, something that we all imagined, the myth of the astronaut is Gordon Cooper. Gordon Cooper, Gord, or Gordo as he was known, was the cool one. He was the one that just was the natural ladies' man, the cool one. Everybody wanted to be around. Everybody wanted to hang out with him. So it was on this day that Gordon Cooper, Project Mercury, he becomes the first American to spend more than a day in space. And this is why, this is the real, don't bury the lead on this. The real cool aspect of this is he's the last person to go into space alone. Alone. He was the last one to go up there alone. Now, everybody, there's crews. There's, everybody goes. No, he was the last person to go to space alone. What? Mr. Popular? That's my phone. Sorry. I always got to check my texts. Because, got a kid and all that. No, that's an alarm. We got an alarm here. What's happening? That's how I'm a scanner dork. That's a scanner alarm. There's apparently a developing story. I'm not going to derail the show for it, but if the alarms keep going off, we may have to break from, and cover a live story that we'll see. What was I talking about? I was talking about Gordon, last guy. Gordon Cooper, last man in space, and truly the coolest of the astronauts. On this day in 1972, antecedently, if you will, Governor George C. Wallace of Alabama, he's shot and paralyzed by Arthur Bremer at a political rally in Laurel, Maryland. I'm just saying, why do we go through these? We go through these because there are things that seem to happen over time. And by the way, there were a couple other assassinations that happened, but one was concerning like a pope in the year 1215. So, but it's just interesting that we note here on this day in 1972 that George Wallace, the attempted assassination. We got an assassination that happened today of a European Union nation. That is a developing story. ... We'll tell you about that later in quarter 4. But just put a pin on this is the day that they tried to assassinate Wallace. And some pope got killed too. And there was another guy, but I didn't know if it's like some Chinese Mongol horde lead. I don't know what he was, but he was killed on this day. And anyway, point is this. Today seems to be a day where assassinations happen. May the 15th. All right, moving on. On this day, antecedently in 1988, the Soviet-Afghan War, after more than 8 years of fighting, the Soviet army decides we've had enough of these people. We are getting out. That's that loser Soviet mentality. That's right. Cold War, you gave up, did you, after 8 years? 8 years. Soviet Union, that's all you could take in Afghanistan before you were like, we are out. Dude, we went 22 years in Afghanistan and we accomplished far less. We won. USA, USA, USA. Yeah, it was on this day that the Russians were like, okay, we're never going to get into a land war in Afghanistan again. Lesson learned. And then here we come. Here we come, the United States, like 15 years later. Dope, dope, dope. On this day in 1988, the Soviets pull out of Afghanistan. On this day in 2008, California becomes the second U.S. state after Massachusetts in 2004 to legalize same-sex marriage. All right, the gays are miserable. I guess, isn't that the trope? That's the tropey joke. Why shouldn't the gays be allowed to be miserable? You know, because marriage sucks. Get it? Marriage doesn't suck. Marriage is fine, man. If you are lucky enough to have the right person, if you're lucky enough, man, this world blows. If you are able to connect with a partner in crime for the whole run of it, or it doesn't even have to be for the whole run of it, you'd be blessed if you get it, in the last 30 years of your life, the last 5 years of your life, whatever it is. I still don't understand, and I was big on this back then. I don't understand how anyone that is elected by a bunch of nincompoops like us gets to decide whether or not two dudes who love each other should be allowed to legally share the benefits of a recognized marriage. It was just dumb. Yesterday, we talked about the anniversary of the Birmingham Freedom Riders, and the people who they were Freedom Riders. 2 buses were firebombed by a bunch of stupid hillbillies, right? Firebombed two Freedom Riders. And I asked the question, I said, this is our grandparents' generation. This is what kind of person would be like, I got to get out in the street and throw a flaming bottle of gasoline at a busload of people. The fuck? What makes you think that? What makes you go there, right? It seems so foreign to me. But so should the idea that you got a problem with 2 people who have nothing to do with you. Why I never understood the opposition to gay marriage, and whenever I hear it still to this day, I'm like, dude, what is this about? Why? It's not about you. What do you care? How is this a thing that you care about? My tax dollar. Fuck you and your tax dollar. You're stupid. You dummy. First of all, they don't have kids for the most part. They don't have kids naturally. So your tax burden, they're the ones that should be complaining. They're the one paying for schools when they move into your neighborhood and make it all fancy, because that's what they do. I don't know. I just never understood it. Anyway, on this day, California legalizes same-sex marriage. That paves the way for a federal stroke of the pen. And now it's just a thing that your grandpa rails about when he's drunk. And everybody goes, oh, grandpa, here we go. That's going to do it. Let's move on to quarter 2. We call them the birthdays. Want 'em. They say it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1940, Donnie Nelson, the old round ball coach. I don't know. What are we going to call Donnie Nelson? Donnie Nelson is a cool guy. First of all, you remember him when he was coaching the Mavs here? He's coach of every Golden State. Guy's been a coach of everything. Great coach. Legendary coach. He's all buttoned up. He wore suits, right? He looked kind of slick back in the 80s and 90s when all the coaches were starting to look like, Tiger Beat pinups, that kind of thing. He was in that crowd. Now, whenever you see Don Nelson, he looks like Bill Walton. It's like, seriously, if you showed me a picture of Bill Walton and a picture of Don Nelson and said, quick, which one? I'd be like, I don't know. Every time I see Don Nelson, he's got like dreads, a joint in his hand, and like some kind of tie-dyed shirt on. He's living in Hawaii, living his best life, as the kids say. Happy birthday, basketball NBA legend Don Nelson, born on this day. Wait, when was he born? What year? Oh, I lost the year. Now I lost my place. You guys, Google Drive. I love Google Drive, but it also just drives me nuts. I wish there was a way that I could navigate Google Drive better. All right, Don Nelson, born on this day in 1940. Born on this day in 1952. Here's one of them dude actors that I like. He always plays the same guy, and I don't care because I like that guy. Chaz Palminteri. Chaz Palminteri is an actor, he's a director, a producer, screenwriter, so he claims, at least it says it here. I just know him as the guy who always plays a gangster. He's the young Paul Sorvino. That's how I always think of him. Younger Paul Sorvino, because now he's old. But Chaz Palminteri, great gangster actor. Gangster actor draft. Oh, man. Gangster, that would be a good draft to have. Best gangster actor drafts. Like... Because first of all, whenever I think of a gangster actor, the image that comes to mind is Abe Vigoda in The Godfather. That's like one of like I think of that guy. But we have got The Sopranos and Goodfellas. Who's the guy? Oh, okay. Got a great gangster actor for you. Don't know his name. He was in The Sopranos, and he was in Casino, and he was in a bunch of. I think he was also in Goodfellas. He's the dude with the white hair. They called him the Shah in The Sopranos. That dude's a great gangster actor. All right, I'll do that at some point. No, I won't. Happy birthday, Chaz Palminteri, born on this day in 1952. Great gangster actor. Born on this day in 1956. Just a great dude, Dan Patrick. Remember when Dan Patrick and Oberman were just raking it as the host of Sports Center? The Big Show, as it was called back in the 90s in its heyday. Dan Patrick, I always love Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick has just this innate likability about him, a decency. Dan Patrick is one of those people who are like, if we had to assign a benevolent dictator to be just in charge to make all the big decisions for us, because it's way too complicated and it's got to be somebody that we trust. I always say, well, I used to say Tom Hanks, but now apparently half the country believes he's a child molester or something, so can't use him. And then I'd go like, well, Paul Rudd, right? Put Paul Rudd in charge. You trust him. Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl seems really cool. Like Dave Grohl seems like, all right, man, whatever, but I'm going to trust him. He's not a bad guy. Here's what I know about the guy I'm making benevolent dictator. I don't think they're terrible, evil people. Dan Patrick's one of those guys. Like Dan Patrick, you can add him to that list. I had the opportunity to meet Dan Patrick once, and it was a situation where I was concerned because I'd always held him in such high regard. He'd always seemed like such a gentleman. And now here I was going to meet him in just like a social setting, just a normal, no cameras around. Nobody was going to probably get a chance to see what the dude was really like. And he was so kind. He was just a good dude. He's just a regular guy. Just regular old Dan Patrick. Meanwhile, everybody's like, that's Dan Patrick. Meanwhile, he's like, that's him, I guess. That's cool, right? He's just a great guy. Happy birthday to Dan Patrick. Born on this day in 1956. Born on this day in 1969. A guy that's not such a great guy, I hate to say, but it's kind of a dick. I know he's a hero. I know he's awesome. And everybody in Dallas loves Emmitt Smith. But I've had a couple of run-ins with Emmitt Smith, and he's always struck me as a bit of a dick. Well, there was one situation where I was addressing him directly, and he refused to make eye contact with me or even acknowledge that I was addressing him. Instead, one of his lackeys spoke for him, which was just to say that Emmitt's not speaking with people now. That was it. This was at Duke's when he was there for a dodgeball event that I was putting on, and that was Emmitt Smith. So happy birthday, Emmitt. I'm sure you're nice to people. I don't know. Born on this day in 1975. Here's another guy who I don't know if he's so nice. I've heard stories about this guy as well. Is he the greatest linebacker of all time? That's a debate that I could get into. I don't know if it's true or not, but Ray Lewis is having a birthday today. Ray Lewis killed a guy. No, he didn't. Did he? He did, right? Didn't Ray Lewis kill a guy? Did Ray Lewis almost kill a guy? Like at a Super Bowl party with a knife? I don't know. Whatever. Ray Lewis, happy birthday. People in Baltimore sure like you. Born on this day in 1981, Jamie Lynn Siegler, Meadow Soprano. Well, we watched her grow up, huh? Whole bunch of men. Whole bunch of grown-ass men watched her grow up, and they'd all get together for drinks and be like, "You watching The Sopranos? Well, that Meadow's really growing up, huh?" Very creepy. However, she did turn out to be a very beautiful woman. So Jamie Lynn Sigler, happy birthday. She's got something wrong with her. She's got some disease. She's fighting something, and it's pretty serious. I don't know if it's like MS or I don't know what it is. Anyway, Godspeed to you, Jamie Lynn Sigler, Meadow Soprano from TV Sopranos. All right, let's move into quarter three. Quarter three is where we do dead people. These are folks who have died. We decide if they went to heaven or hell. First, dead on this day in 1998. Here's an interesting pop culture footnote. Dead on this day in 1998, Earl Manigault. You guys know who Earl Manigault is? He's the GOAT. That's what he's known as. He's known as the GOAT here in popular culture. Everybody's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's this, he's that, he's GOAT. Greatest of all time, right? It's just an acronym. Well, it began with Earl Manigault. Earl Manigault. Now, there's some, what was he? He is the greatest basketball player in the history of the sport to have never played in the NBA. I know. How do you say something like that? How do you even begin to concoct that metric to say that that's what he is? I don't know, but that's what they say. He was one of these Rucker Park legends. You know, Rucker Park, which is the street ball courts in New York City. Earl Manigault. So here's the origin of his nickname, the GOAT. There are a couple of different stories, and they all come from one coach thought his name was Nanny Goat, Earl the Nanny Goat. So that became Neural, and it became short for GOAT. Another time, a teacher supposedly pronounced his name Manigault instead of Manigault. So then the GOAT stayed. And then there are others who say that no, it was because of all of that stuff, but also because he was the greatest of all time. And so the GOAT. Anyway, when we hear the GOAT, we got to think about Earl the GOAT Manigault. Why didn't he play? Because he was a druggie. He was into the drugs. He liked the heroin, and he was still just cleaning up at Rucker Park. Like legends, say that, when a new NBA player would come into the league in the 1970s, most famously of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Dr. J, that they would go to Rucker Park as sort of a way to, I don't know, it was just one of the things. The new big NBA professional players would go to Rucker Park and they would play against, and apparently Manigault crushed them all. Crushed them all, the legend says. Earl the GOAT. Turned out, died penniless, had nothing, went to jail for a bunch of drug crimes. Started working with kids. Later in his life, there was a documentary about him. He gained some semblance of notoriety back in the late 90s, and then he died of heart disease. And Earl Manigault's probably going to hell because he did some rough things. Harlem Globetrotters tried to get him for 30 years. Every year they're like, we'll make you the highest paid Globetrotter. And he's like, nope. He liked them drugs. He was a heroin junkie. Earl Manigault died on this day in 1998. The GOAT. Dead on this day in 2003. Oh, now here's just a darling woman. We're just going to preemptively, we're going to go ahead. We're going to put her in heaven. She's just a darling woman in what she put up with. Oh, my God. So I'm watching a free week subscription on Amazon Prime of PBS documentaries. And I like documentaries, and PBS makes good documentaries, and I happen to like Ken Burns documentaries, and they're all there. So I thought I could probably watch every Ken Burns documentary in a week. I mean, I can't. I don't have that kind of time on my hands, but that was the thought. And what I ended up watching instead was the old, it's not even old. I think it's 5 years old at this point. And that's why I watched it, because it's 5 years ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't remember all that. That was good. It was great. I loved it. I'm going to watch it again. And it was the 6 or 8 part PBS series called Country Music. I don't know if you guys ever saw this. It's incredible. It is incredibly detailed. And it is Ken Burns. It's Ken Burns Country Music. Because I just realized it's Peter Coyote doing the narration, and that's one of the cool things about Ken Burns docs, Peter Coyote's voice. But anyway, I've watched since Saturday. I've watched like 3 episodes, and they're like an hour and a half each. Every night, I'm watching a different episode. So recently, I just came through the episode that dealt with the rise of people in country music, like Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn. But it also did a lot about the Carter family, and it was on this day in 2003 that the world lost just an adorable woman, June Carter Cash. June Carter Cash. What that woman put up with from Johnny, don't get me wrong, Johnny was a godly man, but he was also filled with demons. Johnny put that woman through hell. She stayed with him. She was such a come up. First of all, when Reese Witherspoon plays you in the movie, right? You're like, oh, she's got to be adorable. But I'm watching actual, like from 1949, the Carter family or whatever. I'm watching actual videos or kinescopes, maybe they were called. I don't know. From that time period on this documentary that I've been watching. And I'm seeing the real June Carter Cash. She is adorable. She is just an adorable little beacon of sunshine. Look at her. I can see why Johnny destroyed his entire family and ran off with her. June Carter Cash is going to heaven. He's dead on this day in 2003. Dead on this day in 2007. He's going to hell. I ain't going to talk much about him. But this is one of the prerequisites. We got actresses. If you're an actress, you almost immediately go to hell in the absence of anything that offsets the fact that you are an actress, which means you go straight to hell. You go straight to hell. Same can be said for college football coaches and even evangelical preachers. Yeah, we're going to put politicians, but also televangelists. Televangelists, you go straight to hell. So Jerry Falwell, go burn in hell. Go burn in hell for taking everybody's grandma's money, being a duplicitous, terrible man. Jerry Falwell, dead on this day in 2007. Dead on this day in 2020. Hold on, I got to fix the TV. I just realized it's off. Dead on this day in 2020. How about Fred Willard? Oh, man, Fred Willard. How awesome is he? I love Fred Willard. Remember when he got caught jerking off in a porn movie theater? Yeah, that was embarrassing for him. So if that's like the word, come on, Fred Willard. Every time you ever saw Fred Willard, you were like, I like Fred Willard. And then you heard he got caught jerking off in a movie theater, and you're like, he should burn in hell. Well, I say no to that. I say we overlook what Fred Willard was getting into at 74 or whatever. Leave him alone, Fred Willard. We're putting him in heaven. All right, that's going to do it, folks. That's the first 3 quarters of today's show. We'd like to thank once again our executive producer, Leslie C. Thank you so much, Leslie. Oh, if you would like to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is be the biggest tipper of the day. You can do that by dropping something into the Cash App or the Venmo. Sure would appreciate it. This is how that shit. I almost said this is how that shit works. That is how this show runs. Okay. Whoa! I just thought about something. I got a busy day. Join me today at 4:30. Hell, you should be joining James Parker every day on WBAP here in Dallas, 93.3 FM. Also on AM, but let's promote the FM side of it. 4:30. I'll be on with James doing my entertainment report. So they hired me back. That was nice. I got fired from 2 jobs in 1 week. 2 jobs that weren't really paying in 1 week. I need a drink. Yeah, no, Byron's a little confused. Byron thought that when I was talking about Fred Willard, jerking it in a movie theater when he was like in his 70s, he thought I was talking about Pee-wee. No, Pee-wee did it too, but years before. Yeah, Fred Willard, he got caught. Well, we don't know what. Look, here's the deal with Fred Willard. He went to a porno movie theater, and he got caught up in a sweep. There was like a vice sweep where the cops sit there and they look for people who jerk it, because that's how people used to do it. That's before VHS, before, if you wanted to jerk at the porn, you had to go to one of these dingy theaters in a sketchy part of town, and you had to go and sit with a bunch of perverts. And, it was probably a sad ride home for you because at some point you must have realized that you in that scenario are one of the perverts. So it's just very weird. It's very shameful. Now, did everybody who went to those things, is that what they did? Probably. I mean, probably. I can't imagine why you would. I've never been to one of those places. I just know, that they're a thing that used to have. Okay, so Fred Willard went there. Nobody ever said he did it. Or he never said he did it. I don't know. It's weird. Hey, you know what else? Before we move into this stuff. Okay, Fred Willard, he got caught pulling it. Whatever. Who cares? He's fine. What, you've never pulled it? I know. Doing it in public is a weird thing. But his generation, it's where he felt comfortable. So before we move on, I want to tell you about something else that I started watching. So HBO Max, I guess I'm not supposed to call it that. It's just Max. But Max has that series. They have posted the series that debuted on the BBC a couple weeks ago. We talked about it here. It's the Kevin Spacey docuseries. It's the series about all the allegations against Kevin Spacey and what he is. And first of all, it's fantastic. I've only seen one episode. It is fascinating. If you like this kind of thing, it's very much in the vein of the child molestation thing from Kids TV from a month ago or so. Quiet on the Set. Remember that? Okay, so it's very much like that, except this one's called Spacey. And what they did was they went and they just got a whole bunch of people who had run-ins with Kevin Spacey. And now these are not the ones who sued him in court. These are not the ones that we know about from the English trials or the Boston trial, the LA trial, or the New York trials. No, he was acquitted on all of them. Somehow he got out of all of them. These are 10 different people who over the course of their time in Hollywood or in England or whatever, they have had instances with Kevin Spacey, although they haven't brought charges. And every single one of these issues, they're very funny. It's all the same guy. It's like some buff young stagehand on some play or some former Marine. Kevin Spacey seems to have a taste for former Marines. But it's really funny because all of these guys are they're just dudes who had Kevin Spacey put a move on them. Like none of them are up there saying, I slept with him, because I don't think any of them are willing to go that far. So the charges are all it's just gossip and it's titillating. And it's like, oh, really? He put his hand on your penis and you were in his apartment? There's that kind of stuff. But there's none of, he held me down and, it just seems like a gay dude making a move on another gay dude. And one of the dudes going, hey, I'm not gay. And then the other gay dude going, oh, okay. That's what these stories are. They're titillating. They're fun. They're kind of gross. And they're like, ooh, really? That's what he's into? But they're not altogether horrible. They're not like, put them in jail. They're not like that. How do you make moves on people now? I don't understand. It's like they're describing all of these situations and I'm watching and I'm going, okay, so he put a move on you. And then he put his arm around me and he started to whisper into my ear that he'd like to have sex with me. And these are big Marines, yoked up, muscle-bound Marines talking to the camera here, and they're acting like they've been traumatized by this. And I'm like, all right, you got hit on by a gay guy. You told him you weren't gay, and that's it. Nothing happened. It's not like Kevin Spacey's going to kick your ass. You were in Fallujah for 2 weeks for crying out loud, and you haven't been off steroids in 30 years. You're not going to get your ass kicked. What are you scared of? I didn't get it. And then, you start watching it and you start to realize that all these people were tied to the industry and it was a power dynamic thing about, well, if they said no, would this affect their careers? But by the same token, the only reason they were hanging around with him was because they thought Kevin Spacey could help their careers. So I don't know. You got to watch it. It's very interesting. I might do a whole separate rant on it when I'm done. I've got one episode left. But I don't know. Like, is Kevin Spacey a pervy creep? Yeah. Is being a pervy creep illegal? No. Should we see what the market bears after the general public learns that you're a pervy creep? Yeah, I think so. We'll just let that play out. People still want to see Kevin Spacey in movies, knowing he's a pervy creep. If not, his career goes away. I don't know. There's a lot of questions about it. He's a pervy creep who put a lot of moves on straight guys who were like, Not into it, Kevo. Oh, here's the other crazy stuff about Kevin Spacey and his family. So we get to meet his brother. Holy cow. Let's call him Doug. Let's call him Doug Spacey, because I just made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to remember much about this person, this ghoul, this weirdo. And then maybe that's coming a little bit hard on old Kevin Spacey's brother. This is Kevin Spacey's older brother. And I couldn't tell during the interviews if he was a trans woman or not. Like he's in that kind of zone, but he's like 80. So it's like even harder to tell. But he also dresses like he could be in a lounge band that specializes in like Paul Revere and the Raiders covers. Like, I don't know. He's just a very flamboyant, weird guy with a lot of problems in his life, which is why he's talking on this anti-Kevin Spacey documentary, because he doesn't like his brother either. But man, they go into the family stuff. I've told you about Kevin Spacey's family. Kevin Spacey was raised by a Nazi, and not just a guy who at the dinner table would say the N-word and talk about how, these Jews, they'll get you. No, a legitimate Nazi. Kevin Spacey's brother showed pictures of the inside of their house growing up and the room that was used for Nazi party meetings. Kevin Spacey's dad was like a leader in the Nazi party. Let me show you something. There's got to be a picture of Kevin Spacey's dad. First of all, yeah. All I need to do is just show you a picture of this dude. And you'll be, yeah, all right. So here you go. So, all right, I'm going to stop trying to convince you that his dad was an actual Nazi. I'm going to stop trying to convince you of that by talking about the Nazi meeting room and all the flags and the Nazi paraphernalia that adorn the inside of the house. I'm just going to show you a picture of Kevin Spacey's dad. There he is. Okay. What do you think? Does he dig Hitler? Okay, so it's not just, the libs are saying that everybody's a Nazi. No, this fucking dude was a legit Nazi. Okay? There he is. Kevin Spacey's Nazi dad. Look at the mustache. This was in the 1950s. He's going with the Hitler mustache and haircut in the night. Come on, he wasn't hiding it. Anyway, it's pretty good. It's on Max. It's called Spacey. It's I think it's 2 parts. Like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know each. I don't know, whatever. But it's pretty good. And it's interesting. Kevin Spacey is a creep, but also a freaking great actor. They also keep reminding us in this thing. They show clips from his movies and stuff. And you're like, that guy's a creep. And then you see a scene and you're like, yeah, but he's good. He's good in movies. Come on. Usual Suspects 7. All right, moving on. Excuse me. What are we going to do here? Okay, so let's get into the fourth quarter. That's right. We're talking about all the hot topics, the current events, the news, the big things that are happening here on this edition of May the 15th. Okay, sorry, I was battling something in my throat. The war in the Ukraine. Okay, let's start out with that. War in the Ukraine. We just agreed to give the Ukraine a whole bunch of money, and we got Blinken over there. More on that in a minute. Blinken is such a D-bag. We got Antony Blinken over there. He's mucking up the gears. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. But here's what's happening. So Russia has amassed over 500,000 land troops in the northeast section of the Ukraine. This is the beginning of what's being known as Putin's summer offensive. And most people are like, it's going to be over here now. They're going to march all the way into Kiev. And so that's what's happening. That's what Europe is on the pins and needles over. They're there. They're ready to go. So when does it start? It could start any day now. Here, let me give you okay. You don't just need me saying stuff about, hey, this is how World War III started. More on that as well. Just keep a pin in that. All of this is happening right now. Putin's troops have seized miles of ground in their fastest advances in months. The Blitz, said to be the first stages of Russia's summer offensive, is designed to stretch Ukraine's already outnumbered defenders. Kiev said the Russian push appeared to have run out of steam last night, but in the face of Putin's 500,000-strong land force, warned that could change quickly. Royal United Services Institute war expert Dr. Jack Watling. Well, they'll be making a movie about him. Ben Affleck as Dr. Jack Watling. Let's see. Royal United Services Institute war expert Dr. Jack Watling said unless Ukraine could muster more troops, its prospects were bleak as Russia had significant numerical superiority. He said the Russian forces have now expanded to 510,000 troops. All right, so all that is happening in these moments right now, live boots on the ground. Whew. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? We kind of took our eye off the ball there in Russia, Ukraine, right? Because we were just like, those Yukis, they're holding their own. Let's not pay attention. And then we started paying attention to Israel, and we took our eye off the ball in Ukraine. But something is gearing up big in the Ukraine. All right. What else do we have here? The other big story of the day, Debate Me. My favorite Nirvana song, Debate Me. Debate Me. Debate Me. So Biden threw down the gauntlet today. He's like, let's go, debate me. I don't know how this whole thing started, but whatever. Biden asked for a debate. I guess Trump accepted a debate or not. Trump hasn't accepted yet. I don't know. Developing ... CNN has reached out to the Biden people and said, okay, we'll do the debate on the 27th of June. Biden versus Trump. Let's take a look at how Biden did it. This was it went viral. Of course it did. President of the United States made this video earlier this morning. If I'm being honest, I haven't even watched it because I've got thoughts on the debate that I don't need to know this stuff. I'm ready to roll on debate talk if you want to go about what's going to happen in a Biden versus Trump debate. So here we go. This is Biden today. Oh crap! What the fudge? Who are these people? All right, shut up. Shut up, Mr. President. Here we go. All right, here we go. This was earlier today. Boom.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice.
Yeah.
So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me.
All right, so there you go. So that's what Biden put out there today. And Trump says anytime, anywhere, blah, blah, blah. So Biden's like, okay, I'm here. Let's do it this time, this place. Let's go. And they even got CNN. And now CNN's like, come on, let's go. You said anytime, anywhere. And that doesn't matter. Do I want to see this debate? Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Who do I think is going to win? Well, that's complicated. That's because what kind of rules are we talking about? Are we talking who's going to win? I'll tell you who's going to win. The guy who comes out and just starts insulting the other one first. So I think that in the court of public opinion, those of us watching and why we're going to be tuned in, Trump's going to come out and he's not going to play by any established debate rules. He's going to do what he always does. He's going to be like, you look fat. And people are going to laugh. And then he's going to be like, he won. And people are going to like that aspect of him because everybody else who comes to a debate like Joe Biden, they talk over our heads. They talk, come on, I always talk about we the people. We need it to be dumbed down. We need you to tell me why this guy's a dick. And that's really all the people want. That's the reality of it. Now, this fabricated reality, this world that we pretend exists inside the matrix where we all have decorum and we all speak in grandiose terms and you're not really answering a question in a debate. You're just getting your talking points out. Those rules are bullshit. And those have been the rules of debate. Plus, there shouldn't even... Mr. Popular. Hold on. Look, in a real debate, if we've got like the real rules of the presidential debate and all that stuff, there's no way that Biden doesn't win. Biden kills him because Trump doesn't follow the rules. He'd be disqualified, but we don't do that in a presidential debate. Because nobody in the history of presidential debates have ever broken in the way that Trump has. So now we got to deal with that. And they didn't deal with it at all. And he didn't even debate last time, right? Like he knows he can only be hurt by debates at this point. People who love him. They know what he's about. But he runs the risk of being made to look stupid. Like if they're all gunning for him, because Trump doesn't know the shit these career politicians know. And know the names of, like, the leader of Slovenia, we'll get to that story in a minute. This is dumb. By the actual rules of a real debate, he'd be disqualified because he doesn't adhere to any of the established and agreed upon rules. That's just a fact. But that's not what's going to happen. It'll be Trump walks out, Biden walks out, Biden starts to do a real debate, and Trump throws shit at him, and the whole world laughs. And boom, that's how he wins. However, I do think that to some degree, Trump knows that kind of behavior at the debate may not go over this time the way that it did in the past. Because one of the reasons that we were okay with it in the past was because we'd never seen it before. We'd never seen anyone behave in a debate that way, just calling bullshit on all the big phony suits that are up there with their prepared statements and nonsense. It was refreshing. We liked it. But I do think that the Trump campaign understands that there could be a risk if he comes out and he tries to do that again with Biden, and Biden asks him things, and Biden's team has had time to prepare Biden to lead him into traps. Trump's very emotional. They might dangle a carrot and try and get him to go off on something that is just, I don't know. What is a bridge too far with Trump? Because for a lot of people, Trump crossed that bridge in 2016, but he seems to be he said it famously himself. I could shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose a single vote. So, I mean, I don't know, but that's the debate. That's the debate that's happening internally within the Trump campaign. Do they even need to debate? I think Biden wants the debate because I think Biden still believes that there's going to be some semblance of decorum, with these things. And Biden's going to go out and I'm going to debate him on the facts. And he's not going to be able to meet me on the facts without, fully living in the real world where the facts don't matter to him. You're Sleepy Joe. You're old. That's the stuff that matters on that side. So Biden getting out there all cavalierly, come on, I want you to come. I hear you're free on Wednesday. That's a shot at Trump about his court. There's no court on Wednesdays. So it was Biden, trying to be funny. So anyway, CNN has said that there will be a debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump on the 27th. Biden has said, let's do it. Let's go. Come on, Donald. And he challenged him directly. So now I guess we're waiting to see what Trump says. Hold on. Let me refresh this. Has Trump responded? I suppose I could probably check in the chat room. What are the latest headlines here? CNN debate set for June 27th. Biden dares the Don. Okay. Al says Donald Trump will mention his issues with memory and he will lose it. Well, it's who can hold their shit together? I mean, if they both come out and if Trump starts taking shots at Biden, is Biden more likely to keep his shit together and remain calm or is Trump like if Biden starts going after Trump about all kinds of things, like directly to his face, do we know how Donald Trump is going to emotionally react to that? Is he going to be calm, cool, and collected, or is he going to be like, oh, let me tell you something? Yeah. Or, is he going to just go off and say something horrible that, will look anything but presidential? Do you remember when that was a great barometer of whether or not you could win, whether or not you appeared presidential? Howard Dean appeared presidential right up to the moment that he made a noise. He was on stage and he went, let's go. That's it. That's what he said. Howard Dean, let's go. He had to resign from the race because that was unpresidential, the noise that he made. That's who we used to be. I'm not saying that was right either. I'm saying that's absurd. I'm saying we were a bunch of phonies back then. Now we realize he didn't have to drop out of the race because of that. Gary Hart didn't have to drop out of the race because of the girl on his lap. Remember Gary Hart? He was going to be president. Who do we get instead of Gary Hart? Tsongas or somebody like that? Somebody totally forgettable? Dukakis? I don't know. Gary Hart was going to be president. And then there's a picture taken of him with a chick on his lap on a yacht. And all of a sudden, he can't be president anymore. Then a couple of years later, Bill Clinton becomes president. And he's like, and Gary Hart's got to be like, what the hell? So, Gary Hart should have never backed out. Anyway, I don't know. None of these things seem to sink anybody anymore. Well, actually, they seem to sink everybody in the Democratic Party. They don't seem to so much sink people in the Republican Party, which is a fun trick. I mean, that's a really great trick if you can work that out. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if Trump has said okay or not to the June 27th debate, but that'll be awesome. Here we go. How about this one? This is the big story that I referred to earlier today. The Prime Minister of Slovakia, a European Union country, a NATO nation, the Prime Minister of Slovakia has been assassinated today. Well, not assassinated, or we don't know, right? We're still waiting on this. Here, I'm going to show you. Here's some video. We actually have, because everything gets videotaped these days. I'm going to tell you why this is crazy weird and important with 500,000 Russian troops on the border of Ukraine. The assassination of a leader of a very, very provocative Central Eastern European nation. I don't know where Slovakia is. Hell, I didn't know that Slovakia and Slovenia were two different places till like 2.5 hours ago. Had no idea. So I thought Slovenia was maybe a town in Slovakia. I don't know. Here, let's watch this. This is the video from earlier today. This is Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico. Where's the video? Do we not have the video? Oh, fuck. Here, I'll read it to you. Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico is fighting for his life after he was shot multiple times following a government meeting on Wednesday. According to his official Facebook account, Fico's condition is life-threatening, and he's being flown by helicopter to hospital for emergency treatment. At the moment, he is being transported by helicopter to Banská Bystrica because it would take too long to get to Bratislava. Well, that's probably true. I hear the roads to Bratislava this time of day are terrible. Due to the necessity of acute intervention, the next few hours will decide, said the Post. Okay. Hold on. Here's the video. So he was at some government meeting. He was walking out. This is the Prime Minister of Slovakia. And I'll explain exactly why this is so not good. Not good to be happening today on a day when George Wallace was assassinated and a pope was assassinated, and it's Assassination Day. Here it is. This is the moments following it. This is Slovak. This is the leader being rushed into his vehicle by his Secret Service. All right, there you have it. That is not good. I know it's something that probably easily dismissible as something that's happening over in that part of the world, but that is really not good. I'm not a warmonger, okay? But I am somebody who doesn't want to be surprised when World War III starts. Folks, you have to understand, okay? That dude, here, let me get you to show you who this guy is just so we can get. He's Slovakia's prime minister, okay? His name is Robert Fico. He was just elected in September. Now, Slovakia is a member of the European Union. Slovakia is also a NATO member nation since 2004. So Slovakia is on our side. Slovakia is an ally in all of the documents that determine such things. They are on our team, okay? This guy, Robert Fico, as I told you, who was elected in September, is incredibly controversial. He is a Putin puppet. He is a guy who is essentially controlled by the Kremlin, who is now the prime minister, of a European Union and NATO nation country at a time when there is a whole lot of, fear that NATO could at some point get involved in this. So it's like inside NATO now, there is a Putin guy, and that's this dude. And now he's been assassinated on the same day that we are on the verge of a major Russian offensive, the summer offensive that they've been rumored to be, building up for the last month. That we're on the verge of that kicking off in earnest today, anytime now. And at the very same time, the pro-Putin leader who has sort of molded his way inside NATO is assassinated. First of all, folks, if you think that assassination is anything other than CIA or NATO black ops, you're nuts. That guy was taken out by us. What we just saw there, I saw the details. It's a 62-year-old poetry, whatever. This is exactly how this shit is done. They took out the trash within NATO. This guy, again, Slovakia is a member of NATO. Slovakia is a European Union member. And in September, they shocked the world by electing an authoritarian with loyalties to Putin and Russia. I mean, it was crazy. It obviously wasn't something that was talked about all that much on these shores and stuff, but it was a concern over there. And now suddenly on the same day that Russia is getting ready for their big offensive, all of the sudden Putin's mole inside NATO gets assassinated. I mean, come on. Something is happening. Something is starting. And I don't want to go all history on you, but Archduke Ferdinand, I mean, this is how world wars have exactly started in the past. So this is a wild story. And I've noticed all morning long, CNN's not talking about it. The only people who are talking about the FICO assassination and the Slovakia situation and what a tinderbox that whole thing is, because of the relationship with Putin by a prime minister of a country that shouldn't have a relationship with Putin. This is crazy. All right, so that is developing ... That's a very real story. And I know that I always tell you that this is a show for stupid people and we don't do really weird stories and get into the weeds on these heavy, big things. But this is something that's happening today, and we should be paying attention to it, at least today, at least while it's happening. Make a mental note. Jeff Ballard has some shit talking on Gary Hart. He says Hart brought it on himself by telling the media he's an open book. Dive in. Yeah, he did. He did do that. But it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business. What was her name? That wasn't Donna Rice, was it? No, it wasn't Donna Rice. It was I don't know. But she went around. She ended up in Playboy and all that stuff. All right, moving on. So Slovakia, be watching out for that. Blinken, this clown show. Okay, so our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, he's jumping around. He's bungling deals in the Middle East. Nah, I know. He didn't have anything directly to do with that little sham of a deal that we were all treated to last week. Remember last week when we were on the verge of a ceasefire because the Egyptians and the Qataris were working on a special deal, and then And then like one side agreed to the deal, and then the other side said they agreed to a deal that we'd never seen. It was just a mess. And Blinken's over there the whole time. He's like, "Hey guys, can we get this done before the election? I really think this is going to affect my guy in America." So is that Blinken. He's over there butting in. Now Blinken just shows up. He shows up last night. He's in the Ukraine. He's in Kiev. Blinken's in Kiev right now on the eve of this massive invasion. Blinken's there in Kiev. He's bringing that big giant check. He got off the plane with the big giant Publishers Clearinghouse check. Remember the government? We just gave him like $2 billion. We agreed to help Ukraine in this final big push against Russia, the coming invasion. They need our help. There's going to be a slaughter, so they got $2 billion. Blinken shows up. He's got the big giant check, and then he does this. This is what. Did you see this? This is what the Secretary of State of the United States, after handing over an incredibly controversial check. Look, I'm all for it. I think we absolutely need to protect what's happening over there. I'm not even going to argue with you. You can think what you want. Here's what I think. I think I know that Putin's a really bad guy and he's going to start gobbling up territories. And if we don't take a stand in Ukraine, then where are we going to? Poland? What's next? Finland? Where are we going to take that stand? Let's do it now. He's a madman. He can be beaten now. That's my thought on it. And then a bunch of you people are like, no, Putin's kind of a good guy. Fuck you. Get stupid. All right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Putin, a guy who was raised and brainwashed his entire life to beg and plead for the destruction of the great Western Satan. Yeah, that guy. He's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. He hates us. He hates us. He blames us for all the shit that happened to him when he was in his 30s, when the Soviet Union fell apart. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, big serious things happen there in Ukraine, and this is what Anthony Blinken. This is what our Secretary of State was getting into last night. He drops off the big giant funky check for like $2 billion. He's like, "Hey guys, check," and then he heads to a local pub. Yeah, Secretary of State in the United States heads to a local pub and then does this. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Blinken, our completely serious Secretary of State. Now, look, I don't have a problem with these people being people, and that's wonderful if he's got this as a side habit that he likes to do. That's one of those things that's revealed, in a moment where you're like, oh, that's interesting. Did you know that the Secretary of State also plays guitar? That's interesting. Now, when you're dropping off $2 billion of the people's tax dollars to a place that is, we've been told, war-torn and on its last knees, and also, on the verge of being invaded by 500,000 Russian troops. Don't try and tell us all of this and then go and show up in a bar there playing in like some cover band. It's embarrassing. It's look, again, it's fine that he does it. That's kind of cool. Maybe it makes him even more interesting to me. But you should know better than to do that now in this time. You need to be in a fucking suit with a goddamn serious look on your face the entire time you're over there, not just partying like it's 1999. This is embarrassing. This guy is a fool. I cannot believe this. How the fuck does he not know better? That is just, how does he not know better? What is this clown show that this administration has surrounded themselves with, who think that it'll go viral, it'll look great, it'll look fucking tone deaf is what it's gonna look, literally and symbolically. Get the Secretary of State of the United States in a place where World War III is about to erupt, and he's out the night before jamming in a bar band. Get on the fucking plane and get out of there before they try and kill you. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, seriously, you guys, something big is about to happen over there, and that's what the Secretary of State of the United States is doing last night, rocking in the free world. It'll go viral. You'll become a dreamboat. Please. All right, let's talk about this now. $2 billion in aid. That's what he was over there handing out, and apparently decided to hang out, jam with some great Ukrainian musicians that he's. Again, I don't have a problem that he's got an interest in music. I think that's fine. That's cool. That makes him a more interesting person. I got a problem with him not realizing how bad that looks in this particular time. How disserious it all looks. $2 billion. Hey, we got $2 billion from him. Let's party. Right? Stop it. Speaking of, let's talk about inflation. Inflation crashed into 20% on Wednesday. It says the country hit a sad milestone. Inflation under President Biden has hit 20%. The dollar value has plummeted under his watch. The Bureau of Labor Statistics also confirmed that the consumer price index is resurgent and growing faster than average wages. This combined with weak GDP growth, this data shows the U.S. economy is re-entering stagflation. Just in time for the summer months as a ramp up to the election. That's what Biden needed. Biden had an economy that was, at least on paper, it looked like it was crushing. Now, you and me, the regular folks, the working class people, the people who he's been pandering to all these years, we know the real. The real. You want to talk about the economy? Don't talk to me about gross domestic product. Don't talk to me about the trade value, and don't talk to me certainly about the stock market. Okay, you want to talk to me about the economy? You talk to me about the price of knockoff Kroger generic soda pop. Okay, you want to talk to me? You want to talk to the regular people? You want to talk to the regular people? That's what I understand. Because over the course of the last 3 years, I have seen generic Coke Zero sold at the Kroger. It's a Kroger brand of Coke Zero. In the past 3 years, I've seen it go from 79 cents to $1.50. That's the economy to me. That's the economy. Gas prices. Talk to us about gas prices. That's the economy to me. Gas prices have been coming down a little. They're still over $3, which is an absolute goddamn crime. Gas should be $2. I'm willing to go $2. Let's make gas $2. Gas should be $2. Everybody still gets rich. Everybody still got 2 yachts. Well, if I got 2 yachts, then I need a Learjet because I need to be able to fly between yachts. All right, you might have to fly commercial. Oh! So anyway, the inflation is up again. Inflation is up again, and it doesn't look like it's going away. And the economists are now starting to worry that we're entering something called stagflation. Also, in fun working class regular people news, credit card delinquencies have surged. 1 in 5 credit card users, those are the people who are not cash rich, credit card users, people who charge that drinks with the girls on the credit card. Those people. 1 in 5 of you are maxed out. 1 in 5 credit card users in America are maxed out. So there you have it. However, there is some good news. The rich are actually doing quite well. It's the rest of us who are not. Did you know they have a new name for what the rich have a new name for what they're going through right now? It's called a vibe session. Yes, the rich are experiencing a vibe session. The fact that it's a recession is really just a vibe. It's not really affecting them. But they know that it is affecting the rest of us and that they're starting to catch on, that they're doing really well and the rest of us aren't. So they got a cute little name for what they're experiencing. The rich, the uber rich, the 1%. It's a vibe session. The great vibe session rages through an $11 trillion stock boom. Woo! I ain't doing this story. Fuck those people. 1 in 5 Americans with credit cards, they're maxed out. 20% inflation. And the rich are enjoying the vibe session. By the way, that's a Wall Street Journal article. That's not coming from some sketchy, let's blow up Wall Street. No, that's a legit industry vibe session. They're laughing at you. And you hate the libs, don't you? That's who you hate. You hate the libtards. You hate the college campus kids. That's who you hate. Or you hate the red hats. You hate them. You hate the old lady in the walker at the Trump rally in the red hat. That's who you hate. Meanwhile, none of us are hating the people we're really supposed to be angry at. And that's the plan. Keep us fucking jowling about stupid shit. Culture wars, if you will. And let everybody keep controlling the puppet strings. The rich are experiencing a vibe session. Vibe session. Here's an interesting story that came out of the Trump trial. We don't have any Trump trial news today. And let's be honest, even on the days where there is a Trump trial, I don't bring you a whole lot of Trump trial news other than just what I'm feeling about it. But here's an interesting story that I saw. Did you know that Rosie and the Rat Face? Doesn't that sound like a kid's cartoon? Rosie in the Rat Face. I'll do the TV again. What do I mean by Rosie and Rat Face? Well, when I say rat face, I'm talking about Michael Cohen. Oh, God, does he have a rat face? Rosie is Rosie O'Donnell. Okay? Remember Rosie O'Donnell and Donald Trump? They used to go back 30 years. They've been jawing at each other. You fat. It's like, you're bankrupt. They're going back and forth. So back in the day, when Rosie and Donald, especially when Rosie was on The View, Michael Cohen was the dude who was issuing most of the insults at Rosie because Michael Cohen was Donald's pit bull. And they hated each other and all that stuff. Guess what? They're like best friends now. That's right. Rosie O'Donnell, Rosie and the Rat Face are like best friends now. Here's the headline: Michael Cohen and Rosie O'Donnell, a love story. Isn't that cute? It says, here, listen to this. The text came through on Michael Cohen's iPhone on Monday morning, shortly before he took the stand in a Manhattan courtroom as the star witness in the criminal case against his former boss, Donald J. Trump. The text read, breathe, relax, tell the truth. You got this. I love you. Oh, isn't that sweet? An hour later, another text came to Michael Cohen's iPhone from the same person, simply reading, you're doing great. A third, thank you and truly love you. Look at that. That's Rosie O'Donnell sending texts to Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen. It says, politics, the cliche goes, make strange bedfellows, but few relationships seem as unlikely as the intense bond that has developed between Mr. Cohen and Miss O'Donnell, two Long Island natives of the same generation who were pulled into Mr. Trump's force field in vastly different ways years ago, and who connected as they surveyed the damage afterward. How weird is that? I don't want to see that porn. Nope, not interested. Not interested in seeing the Rosie O'Donnell, Michael Cohen sex tape. Not that there would be one, because as we all know, Rosie's a lesbian, so she's not into Michael Cohen. Let's see here. Oh, here's an interesting story. They're talking about, this is a new thing that the FBI says is one of the biggest things that they're dealing with right now, and I need you guys to be aware of this, okay? Because I get this all the time on Facebook. Get it all the time. Luckily, I'm not an idiot, so I just ignore it. But the FBI says there's a lot of idiots out there and a lot of horny idiots. So here's something you need to be looking out for. Do you guys ever get a friend request from somebody and you don't know who they are? It's just some hot chick. She's like in a bikini. She's like, I want to be your friend. I'm 19 and you're 62, but I want to be your friend. Yeah, that thing. And so they're like, okay. Nah, I got a lot of those. I got some of those, but they're just because I'm trying to build my numbers up. I don't really consider them friends. I just want to see them as, my numbers. Anyway, point is, whole lot of dudes are like, that girl reaches out and they're like, maybe she's really into me. And, and they click on it and then they start a relationship. And anyway, here, this is how this goes down. So don't do it. Okay. It says here, Chelsea was her name. Chelsea. It's a hot girl name. Chelsea. Chelsea asked for nude pictures. Then the sextortion began. The Instagram message popped up from a girl named Chelsea, simply saying, howdy. David didn't know anyone named Chelsea, but he clicked through her profile. She had brown hair and a nice smile. Under her name was a quote from the Bible. He thought it was sort of weird that she was messaging him, a stranger, in the middle of a workday, but her pouty selfies made that easy to ignore. You simp! You simp! This is a dude who just doesn't have game, and he's like looking at this hot girl. Well, it does seem weird that she would just randomly say, yeah, it is weird. Something's going on, man. But maybe she's into me. He's the guy who goes to the strip club and the stripper talks to him. And then on the ride home, he's like, I think she really liked me. And we're like, yeah, okay, sure. No, man, we were talking about things. Yeah, that's what they do. That's okay. You've been mused. David didn't know anyone named Chelsea, but he clicked through her profile. She had brown hair and a nice smile. Under her name was a quote from the Bible. He thought it was sort of weird that she was messaging him, a stranger, in the middle of a workday. But her pouty selfies made that easy to ignore. He was hesitant when she asked him to chat, but soon her flirty messages escalated to a volley of explicit pictures. And David, a 32-year-old pharmacy technician, got a little carried away. When she asked him for a nude, he hardly thought twice. Well, there, right there. Can we just stop right there? Yeah, she is this person that you just started talking to, moving pretty quick, huh, David? And now she's asking you for a dick pic. You're about to send a picture of your penis to a stranger on the internet, and you didn't think twice about that. All right, just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page here. He didn't think twice about it. He just went, okay. When she asked him for a nude, he hardly thought twice, he said. He slipped into a bathroom at the New Jersey hospital where he works, took a picture, and hit send. Within seconds, the threats began. David's phone lit up with messages, pictures he had sent with his genitals exposed, alongside screenshots of his Instagram followers with whom he shares a last name. His family was about to receive all of these dick pics. Chelsea said, I'm demanding $500. If not, I'm going to send these pics to all of these people, said David, who asked that only his middle name be used to protect his privacy. Then she started a countdown. Oh, all right. Anyway, he paid. And FBI and cybersecurity experts, they're saying that there's been 13,000 reports of financial sextortion over social media in the last 2 years. 2 years. Come on, guys. You see them out there. They don't like you. They don't like you. They don't. Look, come on, man. You're 60. You know, you're 60. She's 25. She's a bikini model. You're a retired grandpa. She's not into you. Yes, go with that thought that this is too good to be true. Yes, stick with the idea that this must be some kind of a scam. Because I know you're not that stupid. I know. And what are you gonna do? Okay, so she sends you some nude pics. That's fine. You can follow it down that path. You'd be like, all right, I'm just horny grandpa, and she's gonna send me some pics. And she sends you some pics, you get some free pics. But the minute she says, send me a pic from you, you know, then you go, no, that's too much of an investment for this. I am not gonna do that. Financial sextortion, the FBI says it's a huge problem right now. Watch out. I imagine they're going to get a lot of kids with that. A lot of dumb teenage boys. I mean, not mine. Mine would hopefully be too smart for that. But you can't see a bunch of dumb teenage boys going, we're going to send this picture to your mom if you don't give us, $100 or whatever. All right, let's talk about the upfront, the television upfronts. Do you know what these are? These are the once-a-year gathering of all of the advertising industry's biggest and brightest with their big purse filled with money, and they show up in these auditoriums and the big networks. Back in the day, it was a very big deal. ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, whatever. They would get together in New York City, rent out a Broadway theater, and they'd have a whole bunch of their stars come out on stage, and they'd talk about the upcoming season. Why are they doing it? Well, they're trying to hype ad buys for the upcoming season. That's it. Here are the shows coming to CBS, and it used to be a very big deal. Now it's like nothing with streaming. I mean, they still all do it. It's like a tradition, but it ain't what it used to be. Where they brought up famously, this is where Johnny Carson came out during the upfronts and blew everybody's mind by saying that he was going to retire at the end of the next year. Nobody saw that coming. That made global news. That was big. But, that was back when the upfronts made news. They don't make news anymore because nobody watches network TV and nobody cares. However, they still do them. And Jimmy Kimmel was the host of the ABC upfronts in front of ad buyers at, again, some Broadway theater in New York City yesterday. So they bring him out and he comes out on stage and he starts talking about the new season of ABC TV. Now, we don't have any audio of this, but we do have actual transcripts of what he said. And Jimmy Kimmel came out in front of all the advertisers who are going to be paying his salary and everybody else and basically said, you guys are idiots. ABC is a complete joke of a company. This is a monstrous waste of time and money. Yeah, I don't know. New times, I guess. Here's a couple of his best lines, if you will. Jimmy Kimmel came out talking about ABC's, representing ABC and Disney, right? The ABC, Disney owns ABC. He's an ABC host. Disney is putting this on. So he comes out and he starts talking about the Golden Bachelor. He says, the Golden Bachelor is a key part of our strategy to steal CBS's viewers by putting them in a house together. All right, so there you go. CBS has old viewers. That's what he's saying. We're now launching the Golden Bachelorette. It's a game show where you can win an old lady. Joan is our new Golden Bachelorette. She has 4 kids and 2 grandchildren. Are the grandkids ready to see Grandma raw dogged on a jacuzzi? Okay. Anyway, he then goes and starts to talk about Bob Iger, who is the president, his boss, the president of Disney, ABC, ESPN, all of it. He goes on about Bob Iger. He says, Bob Iger should be retired by now. He should be off on a yacht somewhere. Instead, he's here pretending to be excited about a new season of Will fucking Trent, which is apparently an ABC show that I've heard of, but no, never watched. He goes on to say about his boss, Bob Iger, Bob tried to sell us last year. He put us up for sale. And as if that wasn't bad enough, no one wanted to buy us. When no one was interested, Bob explained that he didn't mean he literally wanted to sell us. He was just testing the waters for Wall Street. Well, you know, Bob, when people test the waters, they usually dip a toe in. They don't drown their children. He got up in front of all the advertisers and talked about how the boss tried to sell ABC and no one wanted to buy it. Oh, boy. Okay. He also went on to say, we here at ABC, we are bundling. And while from the outside, this may look like an act of desperation, I can assure you that from the inside, it also looks like that. We didn't want a bundle, Kimmel says. We had to. Like when you're freezing to death and it's so cold that you have to get into a sleeping bag with your uncle so that you don't die. That's us. You've seen our churn rates. This is not just churn. This is Chernobyl. Now, finally, our users can turn on their TV and get all the channels in one package for one price, all supported by your ads. We call it basic cable. And it's going to blow your mind. Yes, we are consolidating. We are building one enormous ad-supported streaming pile of shit. He's going hard. This is not what you're supposed to do. Be interesting to see if he's on the air tonight or if he's let's see here. It says he also goes on to say we have a sports bundle. ESPN is teaming up with Fox and Warner Brothers Discovery to give subscribers live games, fantasy sports, and betting. It's a package that we're calling Weekend at Divorced Dad's House. Says this new season on Disney Plus of the Kardashians, this new season shows you the Kardashians like you've never seen them before, assuming that you've never seen them before. Otherwise, it's the exact same shit as the last 17 years. Again, Jimmy Kimmel breaking bad against his own company in front of all of their advertisers. This happened yesterday at the upfronts. Jimmy Kimmel goes on to say things are changing over at CBS as well, and not for the better. Young Sheldon is coming to an end after 7 seasons. Now, I know I haven't seen it either, but what I do know is that right now, there is a 100% chance that somewhere at CBS headquarters, there is a whiteboard with the words Old Sheldon written on it. CBS also announced this will be the 14th and final season of Blue Bloods. So your grandpa has now nothing left to live for. Okay. All right. And Jimmy Kimmel also said at the upfronts, we are one unified Disney here. And we're joining forces with Warner Brothers Discovery. I have to say, I haven't seen this much corporate camaraderie in the business since last summer when they all worked together to starve the writers. All right. So Jimmy Kimmel throwing down hard, and apparently his bosses at ABC are not happy. So we will see how that really was hard. That is not the shit you say in front of advertisers who you are trying to get checks from. Talking about making fun of the boss. That's ballsy. You may not like everything Jimmy Kimmel says, but that dude is fearless. That dude just says whatever the fuck he wants. I think he wants out of his contract. That's what I would say. I would say that it seems to me that Jimmy Kimmel wants off ABC. Jimmy Kimmel wants out, and he doesn't give a shit no more. How about this story? There's a story that's been bugging me. Read this morning, and it's been eating it in my craw, if you will. Paris Hilton's in the news today. Now, look, I have a very complicated relationship with Paris Hilton. Now, unlike my very close and dear friend Kim Kardashian, I've never actually met Paris Hilton, so I can't be bedazzled by her. I just go off what I say. Here's what I see: Paris Hilton is very attractive. She's just. What are you talking? Oh, shut up! Shut up! Seriously? Especially, let's talk about like 2010 Paris Hilton. Oh my God! Oh my God! She is a beautiful, beautiful woman. It's very Ivanka Trumpy. There's like two versions of the same kind of model that came off the rich guy, the billionaire clone factory. Yeah, billionaires have a clone factory too. Just look at their daughters. All billionaire daughters look similar. Anyway, Paris Hilton's in the news. She disappeared from the news for a whole bunch of time. I don't know if she got cool, like what her deal was, because she was an irritant. There was nothing. Look, people are like, I hate Paris Hilton. Really? Well, you got to control your hate. What do you hate her for? She's an irritant. She's like, ugh. She needs to shut up because she's stupid. She's that. She's that. That's all she's ever been. But she disappeared for a bunch of years. And she's back now. Well, not back, but she's got kids and she's married and she's trying to be a normal woman. She's still beautiful. She's still absolutely gorgeous. She's just now like cougary gorgeous. But here, listen to this stupid story. And this is just such a stupid story from such a stupid person. Anyway, Paris Hilton wore a prosthetic baby bump while employing a surrogate because she wanted it to feel real. All right, so you're following this. So Paris Hilton, first of all, here's what you need to know about Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton decided that she wanted two babies. She wanted two babies and she wanted them at the same time. She did not want to be pregnant. And she wanted a boy and she wanted a girl. And she wanted them to be basically the same age. And she wanted them to grow up together like twins, but not twins. Kind of like twins, but not twins. So Paris Hilton went and got two surrogates. She got two surrogates and she had them get pregnant at the same time. One delivered her son. The other delivered her daughter. And now she's like, man, that is some rich people bullshit. That is some rich people. I mean, the rest of us, we just have like our best case scenario dreams. We're like, oh, wouldn't that be great if then, no, Paris Hilton, she figured out a way to just completely rig nature. And now she's got a daughter. She's got like a daughter and a son who are the same age. They're born like weeks apart and they're not twins. And they're fully blood brothers. They got the same mom and the same dad. They were just carried by different surrogates. Just so weird. Anyway, that's the first thing that's weird that bothered me. But then because she didn't want to be left out on the whole pregnancy experience, she went out in public wearing a prosthetic baby bump so that people thought that she was legitimately pregnant. She wore Paris Hilton. Now let's break this down. Okay. I'm going to go slow. Paris Hilton wanted the pregnancy experience. So she went so far as to wear a prosthetic baby bump when she was out in public, because she wanted the pregnancy experience. Now, I told you about that rich person bullshit where she got to design her own kids to be twins, but not twins. Okay. This is also some rich people bullshit. She wanted the experience of being pregnant. What she means when she'd go out in public wearing her baby bump prosthetic, she wanted to be treated the way pregnant women are treated in civilized society. And how do we treat pregnant women in civilized society? Like grand dames, like queens. We carry their shit. We open every door. We help them cross streets. There isn't a thing. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're glowing. How excited are you? We engage them in conversations about the subject of what they're going through. Why do we do this? Especially from the male point of view. Why do we do this? Because I believe that on a subconscious level, men understand this sacrifice. Men understand how much it must suck to be sick for 9 months. And that's what pregnancy is. You're sick for 9 months. There's something going on with you every single day. Woo, I don't feel great. You don't feel great for 9 months. And on some subconscious level, I believe that we men, not only do we understand this, but we appreciate it because we could not be pregnant. That's another rant. I won't go off on that. But that's why when men see a pregnant woman out, we give up our chairs, whatever they need. Can I get you some water? Oh my, that's what Paris Hilton wanted. Paris Hilton gave absolutely no consideration for the actual struggle that is earned that respect in public. She doesn't want to actually wake up and have any kind of, morning sickness or, I'm cramping again or, oh my God, oh, he's kicking and it hurts. Oh, this heartburn, crazy cravings. She doesn't want any of that. She wants the pregnancy experience. Rich person bullshit. She just wants to go out and have people bow down in front of her as the beautiful pregnant lady. That's some bullshit, man. She didn't have the pregnancy experience. She doesn't know the first thing about being pregnant. She gave her eggs to some lab, and then her husband jizzed in the eggs, and then they shot those things up 2 different women. And those women have that maternal connection to those babies. I shouldn't say that because I don't know. At this point, I'm just trying to tear Paris Hilton down because I'm just sick of this rich person bullshit. She gets to design her own twins, not twins. That's not a thing. It is for her. Paris Hilton got it. Designed her own twins, not twins. And then she's like, I wanted to have the pregnancy experience. So I'm going to go out and fool everybody into thinking I'm going through some shit so that they'll be really nice. You weren't going through the shit that pregnant women go through. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Paris Hilton. Let's see. All right, now also, you think I was ranting on that one? Oh my God, this one's really got me upset. I think this is what we're going to talk about on today's James show. James Parker, I'll be joining him on WBAP 93.3 this afternoon at 4:30 Central Time. I'll do my entertainment report. I think this is the story that we might be going with. Sports Illustrated has announced their swimsuit cover model for this year, 2024. Sports Illustrated, which, if I'm being honest, wasn't even sure it was still a thing till this morning. Thought I heard that they fired every. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a hard copy of Sports Illustrated. I see news stories that are attributed to SI.com or something, but there's an actual Sports Illustrated magazine? No. But yeah, apparently. So for much of my life growing up, Sports Illustrated was incredibly important. I think it was probably, for me, it was Playboy for sure. But let's be honest, it was Rolling Stone, it was Sports Illustrated, and Time Magazine. That was when I was a kid coming up, when I was matriculating through school and kind of becoming that's what it was. The magazines played a very important role in our lives. Now, I'm not lamenting the loss of magazines because I think we have better distribution now. We have better and more compelling content, although, some of it's crazy. I'm not missing the fact that I used to have to wait for my magazine to show up to get the latest breaking news in sports or rock and roll or whatever. It's a different world. It's a better world. It's not what I'm saying. But Sports Illustrated was important because Sports Illustrated, it was a way, if your team, when you lived in, different NFL and Major League Baseball cities, whatever it was, your team gets mentioned in Sports Illustrated, it feels like a big deal. It's like, yeah, look at us. They're reading about us in Boston, Tired of reading about Jerry Rice. Tired of reading about Jim Rice. So Sports Illustrated was something that was really cool for Gen X boys, I think, especially Gen X boys like myself who grew up loving sports. But their swimsuit issue was a big deal. It was an absolutely brilliant piece of marketing. The swimsuit has nothing to do with sports. Sports Illustrated was a serious sports journalism magazine. And in one issue a year, they went, meathead, hey, let's look at chicks in bikinis, right? They understood that. They made that deal with the devil. But it became their biggest thing. And it became what they were. And, because we were, I think, better at balancing contradictory things back in the 1980s than we certainly are now, we were okay with that. We could still give Sports Illustrated credit for being sports, the thing that talked about sports, while also, the Sports Illustrated issue had rivaled Playboy. It rivaled, people, did you see the new Sports Illustrated? It's like the Playmate of the Year issue. It was a big deal. I mean, it's where we learned about people like Paulina Poroskova, Elle McPherson, Kathy Ireland, Tyra Banks. It's the supermodel. The era of the supermodel was fueled by the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Why? Because dudes who bought posters of supermodels didn't attend Paris runway shows, but they did get Sports Illustrated. They received Sports Illustrated, and that's how we knew. We didn't know who Elle McPherson was because of her runway work in Paris or Milan. We knew who Elle McPherson was because of the Sports Illustrated. So it was a big part of our generation. It was a big part of our coming of age, a big part of the sexualization of Gen X was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. And it's big. It was big for them. It was huge. And then, they started to move away from it, and they got into they got not trouble, but it began, you're just exploiting these women. So then they were like, okay, we'll just put hot athletes in there. And then they put all the hot athletes. And then they ran out of hot female athletes and they were forced during the reckoning of a few years ago to shutter it. And they shuttered it. So they just ended it. They stopped doing it. They stopped promoting it. And it's fine. Maybe it did run its course. I mean, I'm not 15 anymore, so I'm not as reliant upon, pictures of Kathy Ireland in a bikini as I once was. So no skin off my back. But they brought it back, and they brought it back a couple of years ago. And again, because Sports Illustrated just as an entity, as a brand, is just flailing. They're just trying, what are we doing? What is Barstool? Barstool is killing us. Why? Whatever. So they brought it back. I remember last year, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue featured all WNBA players, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. There was some. Why would I have a problem with that? Why am I looking at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue? Okay, let's be honest about this. Why am I paging through the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue? Is it because I have an interest in the WNBA? Is it because I have an interest in these? Do I know any of these women? No. Do I have an interest in swimwear? Do I want to be on the cutting edge of the next season's beach fashion? No. Let's be honest. I'm looking at the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue because I'm trying to get turned on. I'm trying to find hot chicks. Oh my God, hot chicks. That's the secret sugar in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. It's nothing more than that. Just dudes, you have the issue, and it's so successful because dudes look at it and it's hot chicks. That's not what they're doing anymore. It's like it's not hot chicks. They have broken from the brand, and it began with the WNBA girls. I mean, there were a couple WNBA pictures of girls last year that were like, yeah, she's okay. Not a single one of them would have made the cut in 2003, or 1999 or 1987, right? I mean, it's like the standards had been lowered for whatever reason, and we can't figure out why we're not making any money. So this year, Sports Illustrated, they've got the new issue is out. Or actually, I don't even know if it's out because who seriously cares? But Sports Illustrated has their new cover. They've announced their new cover. And let me find it. I'm gonna show it to you before. Yeah, here it is. Is this gonna make me pop-ups? I hate the pop-ups. All right, yeah, here it is. We'll do this. Get rid of that. Hold on. I got a bunch of pop-ups here I'm trying to get rid of so you can see the full. All right. It's Gail King. Gail King is the Gail King, like 70-year-old Gail King is the Sports Illustrated cover model for 20. Gail King, a person who's only famous because she's friends with Oprah. That's a fact. She's only famous because she's friends with Oprah. Gail King was like a medium market news person. did news in like, Raleigh, Durham or whatever. She was like, hey, I'm Gayle King with 10 o'clock news in Raleigh, Durham. She wasn't in New York or LA or Dallas or anything like this. She wasn't in a major market. Gayle King was just a friend of Oprah's. Oprah caught lightning in a bottle and Oprah exploded. And Gayle King is, well, again, at best case scenario without Oprah, Gayle King does 30 years and becomes an icon of Raleigh, Durham local news. But no, she's a friend of Oprah's, and now she's 70, and she's the new Sports Illustrated cover model, and I'm just calling quits. I'm done. What? Beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. She a Sports Illustrated cover model? No, she is not. Who is Sports Illustrated hoping to appeal to with Gayle King on the cover as their new Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model for 2024? And by the way, make sure you understand, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. I'm not saying Gayle King should be on the cover, although I am kind of saying that. If we're staying true to what the mission of Sports Illustrated is, nobody with half a brain would go, let's put Gayle King on. Hey, ain't nobody 18-year-old boys want to jerk it to quite like Gayle King. Nobody's saying that. This is just bad business. That's why I got a prize. Bad business. They pushed the envelope last year with the WNBA girls, and we all went, no, they deserve it. Some of them are okay. But now with Gayle King, I don't think so. Sports Illustrated. Didn't even know you were still around. Honestly, Sports Illustrated, didn't know you were still around until like 10:30 this morning when I saw this goddamn story. She's a beautiful woman, James. Like my eyes. Come on, don't be over me. Your eyes are fine. She's a beautiful woman. With all due respect, James, you, me, we should be so lucky to have someone like a Gayle King on our arm. But she ain't Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover model. She's not even in the same hell. She's not in the same zip code. She's not in the same universe. She's not in the same solar. What's bigger, solar system or universe? I don't know. That's how mad I am. I'm forgetting things. Just so dumb. Why? Who is applauding that? It's just so great. The most phony and unlikable people are the ones going, this is fantastic. I'm so glad. Look at you, girl. You look fierce, girl. No, you look like a hot grandma. There's a lot of hot grandmas out there now. Grandmas have been holding together pretty good. Or maybe it's just that I'm getting closer to like grandma, grandpa age. Hell, some of my friends, don't even. I don't know. I just don't get it. Anyway, Gayle King, there you go. So run out to the newsstands. They might be sold out because I hear the Gayle King Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition is just revitalizing the entire publishing industry. Periodicals will never be the same since Gayle King put on a bikini and graced the covers of Sports Illustrated. Oh, that spring of 2024. That's stupid. That's just dumb. You want to do something interesting? Okay, here you go. You want to do something interesting? If I'm in the meeting with Sports Illustrated where they're all thinking, what should we do for the Sports Illustrated to be interesting? I'd go dudes. Make it with dudes. Get a whole bunch of pro football players, a whole bunch of athletes, good-looking athletes, do like a fireman calendar. Thank you. That's how you're going to sell some shit. You'll get every gay man. You'll get every, first of all, you got the people who are already subscribing. Then does anybody still subscribe? Is that how it works? Like, is there there's nobody. All right, that's dumb. I'm just saying, you never go wrong with horny chicks and gay dudes. That's a Luka Doncic in like some European bikini. Come on, chicks would eat that up. Big old Eastern European, Central Eastern European pot belly on Luka. Hello, ladies. What else do we have here? Caitlin Clark. Let's talk basketball. Speaking of basketball, Caitlin Clark. She made her NBA debut last night. That's right. Caitlin Clark in her Indianapolis pandemic. What is the flu? with the Fever. It's the Indianapolis Fever. Hey, I'm just like you. I'm trying to learn these names. I don't know what Dallas's team's name is. I know that the Chicago team is named the Sky because my favorite sports talk show, and I love this talk show. It's my favorite sports talk show. My favorite sports talk show talks about the sky all the time. Like, ugh. He's my favorite sports talker, but he's way too into like WNBA. And I'm like, you're trying too hard. Just stop it. Okay. We don't need to dedicate, but whatever. So that's how I know that Chicago has the Chicago Sky. Dallas, what? Do we have? I know we have Dallas. We have a team here in Dallas. I don't know. Anyway, the Indianapolis Fever, they took on the Connecticut Sun, which just sounds like a newspaper, doesn't it? It's just, yeah, the Indianapolis Fever showed, or the Indiana Fever, excuse me, whole state, repping the whole state, not just Indianapolis. Caitlin Clark's wake-up call. The Indiana Fever rookie struggles in a 92-71 loss to the Connecticut Sun in her WNBA debut, as she commits 10 turnovers and admits that's not going to get the job done. Ha-ha, ha-ha, Caitlin Clark, ha-ha, you suck. Everybody who talked about how great you were, they were all wrong. You suck. Come on. It's haters out there. This is another one of these chicks. I don't get what the haters are all about. Seems like a nice girl. She played basketball. She played it really well. They stuck cameras in her face. She seems to have comported herself fine. She's got that little cocksuredness that you want from champions. If we accept it in guys, we got to accept it from her and not be like, God, I don't like her. And then she's fine. I don't know enough. But the hate that she gets from people, Caitlin Clark, the hate that she gets, come on. Why? Where are you getting all this hatred for a WNBA player? For girls, I mean, stupid. Well, I do know where you're getting the hatred because we saw it with the Brittany Griner stuff. There was some Brittany Griner hatred as well. So we do know that there's a certain segment of the American population who can muster up a great deal of hatred for any WNBA player should the circumstance present itself. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just that she's a woman and she's playing with a basket. I don't know. Maybe something to do with it. Whatever. Anyway, her first game sold out, man. Sold out in like minutes. By the way, every game she's playing in sold out. Like she's going all around the country. You know, she's playing. Oh, obviously that's how the game works. They don't get to play all their games at home there in Indiana. I don't know where they play them. Probably Larry Bird's driveway. That's probably where those games are held. But every stadium on the road that they're going to are selling out because everybody's looking to see Caitlin Clark. Now, is this going to hold up? Is this going to be are these people who are showing up for the very first time to see Caitlin Clark? Are they going to come back when it's not Caitlin Clark? Are they going to say, well, we'll see. That's how sports grow. That's, for anyone who thinks that there's no such thing as transcendent figures in sports, you don't know much about sports history because every sport had a transcendent figure. The NFL had a guy named Red Grange. And I know that it's going back a little bit too far, but nobody took the NFL seriously until Red Grange started taking the show on the road and barnstorming on behalf of the NFL, playing games in cities where they would never see them. And then all of a sudden, people are like, well, that's actually real. Basketball had Michael Jordan, who, isn't necessarily a classic transcendent figure for that sport, but he certainly took the sport global. So, there's Gretzky did it for hockey. Nobody paid any attention to hockey other than people who lived in Boston, New York, Detroit, Chicago, and St. Louis before 1980. Nobody cared about hockey. Outside of those cities, nobody gave a shit about hockey in this country, or at least the NHL. And then Gretzky came in. And then all of a sudden, now we got hockey in Dallas. Now we got good hockey in Dallas. So, maybe she is that transcendent figure. Maybe a bunch of little girls get into this now, and now suddenly, they're into basketball. Who knows? Maybe little boys. I don't know how it all works anymore. I'm not putting any restrictions on anyone. But it's her first game. You know how nervous she must have been? God bless her. You're allowed to shit the bed in your very first game, man. Let me tell you a story about another person who shit the bed in their very first game. He would go on to be the NFL's all-time leading rushing leader, Walter Payton. Walter Payton's very first game, he absolutely shit the bed. He was awful. I think he had -6 yards rushing, and like 2 fumbles. He was nervous. These things happen. The national spotlight that Caitlin Clark has occupied for the last year burned as bright as ever for her WNBA debut on Tuesday night in Connecticut. Celebrity fans, another sellout crowd, and a national televised audience that's expected to rival the NBA playoffs were all fixated on the Indiana Fever rookie and first overall pick. Only for the first time in recent memory, Clark, who helped bring women's basketball into the mainstream during her record-setting college career at Iowa, failed to deliver. She sucks! Bust! She's a bust. Just another Jamarcus Russell. She didn't drain any of her signature three-pointers from the midcourt logo and failed to make an impact as a playmaker in the 92-71 loss to the Connecticut Sun. Even when things did go her way, like when she pickpocketed Connecticut's DeJounte Carrington midway through the third period, Clark followed with a bad pass that was easily stolen by Sun forward Breonna Jones. Clark's night was ultimately encapsulated by a wide-open three-point attempt that clanked harmlessly off the rim in the game's final minutes, effectively ending any hope of a comeback. In the end, Clark had 20 points, but made only 5 of 15 from the field, while finishing with a mere 3 assists. 20 points, 3 assists, first game. Stop it. Jesus. What, did you want her to break Chamberlain's 100 points in a game record? Just leave her alone. Caitlin Clark. Look, let me be honest with you. I'd have watched it. If it was on, I guess it was on last night. They said it was on national TV. I wasn't aware of that. So, and I don't, we don't really flip channels anymore. So we never stumble across anything. I'll never stumble. Oh, I didn't know this was on. I found it. That's a way we used to watch TV. Now everything is, what do I want to watch? And then I got to go to the different platforms and see what's there. But if I had been flipping around last night and I'd seen the Kayla, I'd have watched the game. I'd have watched her. I watched a couple of her college games just because I saw that it was on. Yes, both times I was in a bar, and so I didn't have control of the remote control, but I still watched it. So, I've seen her highlights on YouTube. Those I've looked up. She's. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Talk about again how I just, I have some very strong feelings about the WNBA. I think it's a great league, and I hope it continues to grow. But let's stop pushing the WNBA to be on par with the NBA after just, a few years of existence. I heard a pretty great suggestion last week. There was a bit of a viral joke going on among American sports media members last week. And the joke had to do with the fact that all of them were finding themselves in the very same position of having to memorize all the names of the WNBA teams because they had never had to do it before. And now Caitlin Clark and all this kind of stuff, now we got to familiarize ourselves with all the WNBA teams. And who was it? Dan Levitard, who's a terrific sports talker out of South Florida, Miami. Dan Levitard had the suggestion, they're playing in the same cities, the same arenas, or at least they used to play in the same arenas. And in almost all the cases, they are now directly tied to an NBA team. Why aren't these WNBA teams just called the same thing as their NBA teams? And I thought that would help. That would help. You got like the Dallas Mavericks, and you got the Dallas female Mavericks of the WNBA. You don't call them female. You just call them the Dallas Mavericks of the WNBA. I think that's a good idea. That's good. And then you got like, is it, I don't know what the name of the team is. So, but did nobody in the chat room tell me the name of the Dallas team? Wow. I assumed I'd look at the chat room and there'd be somebody there who had the name of the Dallas WNBA team. But one of my big complaints was how they all play in these 18, 20,000 seat arenas, and they only sell 4,000 seats a game. And so there's always empty arenas, and that looks bad. You can't build any momentum or any excitement around a league that plays in a warehouse. Empty. Can't do that. So the Dallas team, they're playing now. I think they've moved into like a 6,000 seat arena, which is great. Sell that shit out. Chicago Sky, I think, has done the same thing, although I heard that they're playing at Wintrust, which never mind might be different. But let's build WNBA stadiums. Let's build WNBA stadiums, community stadiums that hold about 6,000 people. And then they can be used for any other number of things. But let's pack them. Let's get these 10,000 seat WNBA stadiums packed. I think the league average is 5,000. per game in the WNBA. That's, got to build on that. But it's just, I think it's going to be harder to build on that when they're playing in 20,000 seat arenas where it looks like there's 15,000 people that aren't there. Yeah, there's 5,000 people saying this is the coolest thing going, but there's 15,000 who aren't there, who are going, this is lame. Just looks bad. It's bad branding. All right, what else do we have? Caitlin Clark. She had a rough game last night. The King. Oh, here, we can show you this. The King. Of course, when I talk about the King, I'm speaking of the King of England, King Charles III. I don't know what this is. So I want to show this. There's not really a story here, but it's been going viral. The official portrait, the King's official portrait, which is, kind of a big deal when we think about, in the portrait hall of the Kings of England and Queens of England. I mean, there's portraits of dudes that go back centuries, So, this could, theoretically, this could be something that will hang here for hundreds and hundreds of years. And, it's history, if you will. Anyway, they unveiled King Charles's official portrait, and I want to show it to you because it is very controversial. Nah, it's not that it's controversial. More so, people either like it or they don't like it. People have strong reactions to it. Here it is. Okay. Let's make it big. Okay. So here it is. You either like it or you hate it. I want to hear you in the chat room. Do you like it? Well, actually, I guess it would be, do you love it or do you hate it? Because that's the thing. It's people's reactions to it are extreme. Do you love it or do you hate it? Here is the official portrait of King Charles III, which will hang in perpetuity, forever. Here we go. All right. Let's see if you can see it. See how close you can get to it. I want a couple of people to chime in first with their, okay, way to take a position, Jameson. It's very red. Yeah, it is. It's very red. Is that very cool or is that very bad? It's your call. He looks pissed. He looks kingly, Rob. And you and me, Rob, you as a Scotchman and me as an Irishman, we don't really do this kind of thing well. So we're probably not supposed to like it. King of England and whatnot. Byron says, have I seen it mirrored yet? Oh God, no, Byron, but I'm sure I will fall down that cue hole. What happens when I see it mirrored? Something weird? Nobody's saying if they like it or not. All right, I'll go first. I think it's badass. I think that thing is badass. It is. It's very red. And then with his head, like saying, I don't know, man. It looks creepy. It looks scary. It looks serious. It looks like in 500 years, when they look back at the picture of this, they'll be like, the Red King. And there'll be all kinds of like mythology about him. I love it. I don't know what Charles thinks, because I don't care all that much about it. But I do know that a lot of people are like, oh, it's horrible. Oh, it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I think it's so cool. I would hang that in my house. Just red. It's just red with his face. I don't know. I think it looks cool. It's angry. Red is an angry color. He's an angry king. But, it's not stupid. He looks badass. If that was me, here's how I do it. If that's me, okay, how do I look? Do I look kingly? Do I look badass? Do I look revered? Do I look serious? Yeah, he does. He looks all of that stuff. He's not wearing, here's the better thing, he's not wearing a stupid hat. A lot of times in these, they're wearing dumb hat. No, he just looks kind of badass. He might be wearing a hoodie. We don't know. He's wearing robes. It's military robes. Like when you get closer to it, I don't know how close you can see it. I've seen it closer up. You get closer to it, you can see he's wearing that's a military uniform he's wearing. It's all red on red. Very cool. Jameson says, for a king who's only going to rule for under a decade, it's a very imposing and powerful portrait. It is. It is. That's a good point. That is a very good point. And I wonder if that was part of the calculation, because he certainly knows that he's not going to have the reign that most people will. Well, I mean, you don't know. His mom lived to be 150, so they keep these people alive. But yeah, was that what he was going for? He's like, okay, so this is going to hang here for the rest of history. What do I want people who don't know anything about me to see? It is imposing. It is, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's badass. If it was me, if somebody said, here, Pugs, it's a picture of you, I'd be like, man, you think I'm cool. You must think I'm a badass. All right, there you have it. That's the new portrait of the king to be unveiled. Wherever they unveil that shit. I don't know. Where does that hang? Where they have all the there's a place where they have all the portraits of all the kings. And it's probably a place you can visit. I don't know if it's at the British Museum or if it's there at Buckingham, but there it is, folks. The portrait of the king. And we're done. That's it. We're done, guys. We've finished the entire show. That's all I got. Again, you can join me at 4:30. I'm going to be on with James Parker, WBAP. I'd like to once again thank Leslie C. for being our executive producer of this here show. Who's going to be tomorrow's executive producer? I don't know. I didn't hear the thing go off, so I don't believe that we got tipped today. But if you are so inclined and you want to make a difference, you want to be somebody who is known to support this style of talk radio, make a little drop. Right there. Cash App, Venmo. We sure would appreciate it. And if you are the biggest tipper of the day, which, let's be honest, you'll probably be the only tipper of the day, you will win the prize of becoming the executive producer of tomorrow's show. So that's that. What else? What else do we going to do? I'm going to finish watching Spacey. I'm going to finish watching Spacey on HBO Max tonight. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow, I'm sure. I'm also probably going to watch an episode of yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I gotta go shopping. Oh boy, I gotta go shopping. Gotta take the dog for a walk. Gotta be back with all of that stuff by 4:30 to do the James thing. Then gotta take the dog for another walk. Then I've got to meet somebody tonight at 7:00, but that's not gonna take long. That's only gonna be about an hour, and then I'll be back. Okay, so then tonight I'll try and finish the second part of Spacey. Or maybe I'll just jump straight into the country music thing. I'm watching on PBS documentary. PBS, it's on Prime. It's one of the subscriptions you can add, but they've got a free week. So I've been taking all the free weeks on these other subscription channels and just trying to watch whatever it is that I want to see that's on there before I let the subscription lapse. And so anyway, on PBS documentaries, I've gotten into this Ken Burns country music 8-part historical doc series on where it came from, where these people came from, and it is so good. So good. It's like 5 years old. I saw it when it first aired like 5 years ago, and it was so good, so informative, so interesting. And finally, we're at the good parts. And by good parts, here's so like the first episode is about, and he was plucking at the banjo in the fields in 1901. You know, it's like that's not country. That's okay. I get it. That's the origin story. Fine. You got to put up with that. You got to go. And then Blind Melon Jellohead, he came into Memphis, and he like that. I don't care about all that stuff. I care about once Nashville starts cooking. Once Nashville becomes the de facto capital of country music in this country, and then they start building the studios and everybody starts flocking there, that's when I start getting interested in the history of country music. And that happens right after World War II. So that's where I am. Actually, right now I'm in like the 1960s. Patsy Cline is still alive, but I got a feeling she's about to die. Like when I paused it, one of my thoughts was I was falling asleep last night. And I said, okay, I think this is ramping up to the sad end of Patsy Cline's life. So I'm going to stop this because I'm falling asleep. And I feel like that's something I need to pay attention to. We were just introduced to Loretta Lynn. She's on the rise. She's hanging out with Patsy Cline. Brenda Lee. I didn't even know who Brenda Lee, or is it Peggy Lee? There's so many Lees. One of these was like a little kid. She was like a little kid country singer. And I didn't know. I just know the name. And I was like, I didn't know she was a little kid. But yeah, she was a little kid. I don't know, learning stuff. Just telling you, I'm learning stuff. It's good. Ken Burns, country music. I'm on episode 3, which is like the 1950s and 60s. But I want to get into like the Willie and the Waylon and the Merle and Johnny. We've already got some Johnny stuff. We're learning all about Johnny Carson. This is the early days. He's just left his wife for June Carter, who he hooked up with on the road. immediately after he wrote the song I Walk the Line, which was a song about how faithful he was to his wife. Because you're mine, I walk the line. His wife had these concerns about Johnny fooling around on the road, so he pledged his eternal love to her and wrote the song I Walk the Line. And then he's on a TV show, and he performs I Walk the Line, and he walks off stage and he meets June Carter Cash. And they hook up almost instantly. And yeah. So the song that he wrote to quell his wife's concerns about him being unfaithful is the song that got him to hook up with June Carter Cash, who he would leave his wife. See, it's also life is complicated. Anyway, that's where I am in the country music documentary. About to get into some George Jones stuff. Oh my God, he's such a weird looking guy. Dude, look, the possum. He looks like a rat. He's got like all the old timey pictures of George Jones. Like, here's a picture of Chet Atkins and Elvis Presley and George Jones. And George Jones looks like a rat. He's just like a needle nose, and he's got these black eyes that are really close. That's why they call him possum. Anyway, that's where I am. I'm learning about country music again. Barney, spoiler alert. Come on, man. What did I spoil? I probably did spoil something. Now I feel bad. All right, bye, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at noon for more of the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs, Moran. Bye.